All right. This is a 1-3 game, 300 cap in Cincinnati at the Hard Rock.
Yep.
Everyone in the hand is over 1K deep.
Oh, nice. Do they enforce the caps in this game pretty hard, or do people go north?
People sneak chips sometimes, maybe.
It's just kind of rare to see somebody, see a table where everyone's over 1,000 if it's a hard 300 cap, right? The game must have been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, I play late at night, so we get a lot of when tables break, the chip leaders from several tables come together.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Like Converge. Okay. So 1K effective.
Right. Okay, so Heroes in the low jack with Jack 10 of hearts,
Okay.
and we open to $15.
Okay. Standard open size?
Yeah, that's what I always open to.
Okay.
All right. Hijack, cutoff, button, and both blinds call.
So hijack, cutoff, button, blinds call. And so it looks like you're what, 5 ways, right? 6 ways, including you. One, two, three,
Yeah, six.
one, two,
Me and
wow.
five others.
Wow, yeah, 6 ways. All right, so $90. Well, typical live game, right?
Right.
Yep.
All right. So on the flop we get the 7 of clubs, 8 of clubs, 9 of diamonds.
7 of clubs, 8 of clubs, 9 of diamonds. So you flop the stone cold nuts here.
Right.
Right. Okay.
All right. So the blinds check to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I bet $65.
So obviously I'm going to say that I love your bet, but I just want to point out here that this is kind of where I would say situations, because people are playing too wide pre-flop, like in a live poker game 1-3, would make you want to break the theory in the sense of a more profitable approach to this spot is to bet. Whereas this very well might be a spot, especially multi-way, if you are somewhat of an early position raiser and get several field callers, that the theory would tell you this is a check 100 spot. Now, obviously you can check 100 here, but if you play a slightly exploitable, unbalanced style of betting your strong hands, I strongly contend, based on 15 years of playing live poker, that that is going to win you more money over the long term in this exact spot.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So you bet 65.
Yeah, and when our hand crushes a board that should crush all the field callers, I always like to go large.
Mm-hmm.
I think it opens us up to bet large.
Now, someone in the live chat said that the chances that this gets checked through are not great when so many people are in there. Did you ever consider a check raise? Remember, Nate only has 2 people behind him, though, right?
Right.
It's not like you're first and then there are 4 people or 5 people left. So, I mean, I like your bet.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So the cutoff, the button, and the big blind call.
Cutoff, button, and big blind call. Wow. That's pretty crazy. So now the pot is 350 because we just put in we put 260, right? Yeah, so the pot is 350. Wow. Okay. Crazy.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So the turn, we get the queen of diamonds.
Queen of diamonds. Again, Nate has Jack 10 of hearts, and the board comes out 7, 8, 9 with 2 clubs. He bets 65, the cutoff, the button, and the big blind call. The turn's the queen of diamonds. Doesn't change the nuts, but it puts a backdoor diamond draw. So you've got front door clubs and backdoor diamonds, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Big blind checks.
Mm-hmm.
I bet 250.
Okay.
Cutoff goes to 500.
Okay.
Button jams.
For what, 700 or something?
Yeah, 700 on top of the 500 for 1,200 total.
But you only have 1,000, right?
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
The big blind calls for his 1,000,
Wow.
and it's back to me.
Oh. So, of course, this brings up the situation where, and this is just such an extreme scenario. We've got hero betting 250. You've got cutoff raising to 500, the button jamming over the top, and then the big blind calling. And of course, inevitably, this brings up the question, would you ever fold the nuts here in Hold'em? And I'm going to go into a small little anecdote here. The one time that I saw this go down and it was much more clear cut than this, I was playing at Foxwoods back in 2008, and it was a 10-20 game, and everybody was like 4 or 5K deep at least, and there was a pot that got like limped around, and the board came out like king, queen, jack, and it got checked around. And then the turn was a 10, and it brought a backdoor spade draw. So it's king, queen, jack, 10. And the guy in the blind checked. Somebody bet like literally like 65. Somebody raised to like 200. The big blind check raised all in. I'm going to put it up here so that people can see what I'm saying. It's king of spades, queen of clubs, jack of hearts, 10 of spades. So it goes bet 65. Guy raises to 200. The big blind check raises all in for 5,000. Okay. And they both call. Both guys call in a limped pot for a $15,000 pot. They all have aces. The guy in the big blind has ace-x of spades, and he hit the free roll. He hit it for a $15,000 pot. I'll remember that hand for my entire life. That's a spot where the initial guy that bet 65 should fold, for sure. And it's so easy for someone to have a nuts, right? It really only comes into play really on the top end when someone can just have an ace. Now, in your situation here, if you take a look at this in a PLO hand, this is just a fold. In a PLO hand, this is absolutely a fold. Someone's got Jack 10 with you, and people have redraws. I mean, unless it's an extreme scenario. In Hold'em, man, it's kind of crazy. Like, you need to know that somebody has Jack 10 along with you all the time. And then, you can sort of calculate out what the other draws would be. But even if somebody has Jack 10 along with you, in this particular spot, it would appear that the pot would be 25, 28, 31, like 750 for you to call, but you're only winning half of what would be 31. So you'd be putting in 750 to win 15, I believe. 5,000, 25. Yeah, I think it would be 15. So putting in 750 to win 1,500. So you're still getting 2-1. So I think, Nate and I went back on this one on Discord, and I kind of simplified it. I said, Nate, nobody's going to fault you here for calling. I've seen really, really weird shit in live poker, and this is just a once in a lifetime type of scenario here. When I'm taking a look at this, if you do split pot equity, you really can only have at most 50% equity, and then with the draws along that you have to dodge, it's probably still pretty close to 33, even if someone has Jack 10 along with you. Now, if 3 people have Jack 10 and somebody's rolling, then you have much, much less. But Nate, you play live poker for a living, right? I'm sure you've seen some crazy shit. What were your thoughts at the time here?
Well, my thoughts at the time were it's probably really difficult for me to be getting a three-way chop going here because people just do so much dumb stuff.
Right. At 1-3 especially, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And but I do think we're probably up against a free roll and maybe a set 2-pair type hand. Maybe both flush draws and a free roll.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't run all those types of scenarios into Poker Cruncher off the top, but you could look at that, though. You could give those equities. And again, I think you only need 33%. If somebody had a free roll on you with Jack 10 and then someone had a set, for a higher, to basically pair the board. I mean, against the set, you're 80%. So, and then, you take half of that. It's like, I'm trying to think of how you would do this. So you have to dodge 20% for the entire pot. And then the other guy would have slightly more equity than you. So I would still think it's probably pretty close. You still
Right.
probably are pretty close to 33%, maybe slightly less, but I don't think I'm going to fold here. I've seen too much weird shit in live poker.
Right. There's so much weird stuff that happens.
Yeah, yeah. So what ended up happening?
So everybody gets it in. The river is the Jack of Diamonds, and Big Blind has pocket nines, nine of hearts, nine of spades.
So river's the jack of diamonds, so it puts a higher straight out there and the back door comes in, right?
Correct.
Uh-huh.
The button has Jack ten of clubs, so he was definitely free rolling us.
What was the first guy? What did the first guy have? I'm sorry.
The Big Blind had pocket nines,
Pocket nines, okay.
and then the cutoff has seven of diamonds, eight of diamonds, and scoops.
Seven of diamonds, eight of diamonds. So the cutoff, who is the first guy, he raised the turn with bottom two and a flush draw. He flop bottom two, just called on the flop, then raised the turn. And then you've got the button here with the nuts rolling on clubs, which makes a whole lot of sense as to why he slow played it. And then the big blind was probably just like, there's way too much money out here. The big blind didn't put money in on the flop either. Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
That's crazy. Some people saying that oh, just move on, move all in and move on. I think it notes worthy of discussion for sure. Again, split pot equity, as more and more people play double board bomb PLOs and double board hold'em, they're introduced into this whole concept of split pot equity that they have no idea about. And when you're in a situation, this is much harder to calculate off the top, but when you're in a situation, as I say in my double board PLO bomb pot videos, the way that you calculate split pot equity is you average your equity on both boards. So if you're 70% on one board and 40% on the other board, you have 55% total equity in the hand. That's how you do it. So, if you were 90% on one board and you were drawing dead on the other, you'd have 45% equity. So there are times when you can be drawing dead on one side, but it's still proper to call given the pot odds. So,
Right.
Nate,
So,
yeah.
my last question. Being that it's four ways,
Mhm.
do we ever look at the equity between everything? Do we have to average that out and divide it by three instead of like a split pot?
Well, it really depends on, it depends on what they have. I mean, you can just, you obviously you can put a range in for everybody, but every person that has Jack 10 chops your equity. Basically like you can never ever have more than 50% equity if someone has Jack 10. If two people have Jack 10, you can never have more than 33% equity. So if two people had Jack 10 here and then somebody else had like say 20% equity, you would probably lose 7% equity each person. So, it'd move you down to like 25%.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Thanks for the call, Nate. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bart. I appreciate
All right, cool.